Hello, I'm Tiffany Russell Lockett. I am an aerospace engineer and co-founder of the Patti Smith Fellowship. First, I'd like to thank the Aerospace Corporation for inviting me to speak with you today, and it's an absolute honor to be part of this summit. The conversations you've had today about inclusion echo conversations that are going on all over the country and across this great industry, and that is a very good thing. I remember the anger and sadness we all felt last summer in the wake of George Floyd's murder. Sometimes it takes a tragedy for us to refocus, look around, and challenge ourselves to do better, to be better, to spur us to action, to have these important conversations. So, again, I'm honored to give a few parting words and to speak to you about an industry that I love. It is an amazing time to be in aerospace. Just this month, two companies, Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin, have just launched regular citizens, even a few billionaires, into space. It seems as if space is opening up access to everyone more and more each day. I can only begin to imagine to see the opportunities that you students will have in the decades to come. Honestly, it still feels like I'm living out my own dreams. It's crazy to think when I was 12, I was at Kennedy Space Center learning about missions to asteroids and to Mars. And today I get to work on a mission to Mars myself. It's very exciting, and it is amazing what a dream and a little hard work can do. It still amazes me when I'm at work and I look around the meeting rooms or the conference centers that I'm in, and I'm either the only woman in the room or I'm the only person of color. When I first started at NASA, this was the norm. This was the mid 2000s. And so in my mind, I thought this was normal. We have a very funny way of internalizing the norm, not seeing what could be and only accepting what is. If I felt unheard, it must have been because I was so young. If I felt unincluded, it was because these guys were just talking over my head. The way it was just normal. But that kind of thinking really is simply unacceptable. I was always pro-diversity. I mean, I am a Black woman in aerospace, but in the wake of last summer's turmoil and protests, I decided that being pro-diversity was just simply not enough. Simply just being in the room is not enough. It was just the beginning. And if I wanted to see change, I would have to be part of it. And so that was a personal challenge to myself. So I was blessed enough to be included as a founder of the Patti Smith Fellowship. I joined just 1 year ago in the summer of 2020. We knew that there wasn't a talent gap among the young, bright, and eager Black students. I know there wasn't for me, nor was there an intelligence gap. They're doing just as good in school. However, there was an opportunity gap. Our fellowship program aspires to close the gap to start careers in the aerospace industry. This is only our inaugural year, but we've managed to match over 40 young Black students with their first jobs in aerospace. Big companies like Boeing and Raytheon, even companies like Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic, and companies with only a handful of employees, they were seeking out diversity and inclusion. This means more than just race or gender identity. Sometimes it includes diversity of backgrounds, diversity of thought. And what was surprising was that many of the companies recognized that they needed to invest more in diversity and inclusion and wanted to do something about it now and decided to partner with us, the Patti Smith Fellowship. Now, if you don't take anything else away from my talk, I do want you to learn a little bit about Patti Smith and what an amazing person and example she was. Patti was a Black woman born in Alabama during the Jim Crow era. and she was not someone to be denied. Despite all the disadvantages and obstacles she faced, Patti Gray Smith succeeded and she excelled. She went from being one of the first Black students to integrate a local high school just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, to being on the NASA Advisory Committee at the end of her career. At the FAA, Patti laid the groundwork for commercial space industry. Those space flights that we saw just earlier this week and earlier this month, that is in part thanks to Patti Gray Smith and the hard work she did at the FFA commercial space office and the policies and guidelines that she and her office put in place to make these flights possible. Commercial space would not be where it is today without Patti's family pushing for integration in the 1950s. So think about it. Integration is another form of inclusion. So here's your charge. Students, raise your hands, ask questions, speak out when you see inequalities. Speak up when you see someone being treated unfairly. Speaking up takes courage. Sometimes listening takes courage too. Diversity doesn't mean just more women or minorities. It means a diversity of experiences and diversity of backgrounds so that we can have a rich tapestry of thought. What you bring to the table can be just as valuable as someone else bringing something that may look different or sound different or come from just a different part of the world. So believe it or not, Patti Gray Smith was an English major. So you don't even have to have a STEM background to make a difference in the STEM field and also to feel included. You just have to have the courage to speak up and know your voice. You are here to challenge norms, not blindly accept them. 600 years ago, most people thought the earth was flat. There's a lot of folks that still do. But that was the norm in those days, and it was commonly accepted knowledge. Once we challenged that, once we learned more and discovered and proved that the earth was round, that we were on a planet, and oh my gosh, there's other planets in our solar system too. Now we have rovers on Mars, and we're planning to go back to the moon to stay. Imagine the problems we'll solve, the leaps we can take when it becomes common knowledge that, hey, girls are good at math too. That African Americans and Hispanic descent folks can design airplanes and spacecraft as well. That people with disabilities are fully capable of contributing. What amazing things we will be able to accomplish then. It's just awesome. So let's normalize listening and understanding. Let's normalize empathy. Focus on eliminating bias, especially unconscious bias. We have to be brilliant. And I don't mean brilliant like being the smartest person in the room. It helps. But what I mean by being brilliant is being a shining star. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And I know that is a cliche, but it's a cliche that's true. It's one of my favorite quotes. Be brilliant in your work ethic. Be brilliant in your compassion for others. Be brilliant enough to shine your light on those that need to be included. I'm encouraged this forum even exists and that the Aerospace Corporation is being proactive and that we are able to have these important conversations. I hope that you continue to have these conversations with your fellow students, with your coworkers, and with your leadership. I'm looking forward to the day when diversity, equity, and inclusion is so normal that it's hard to even imagine a time when it wasn't. So go forth, be brilliant, look out for your fellows around you, ahead of you, and behind you. We have to make inclusion and respect for others paramount if we are going to change this industry to one of more reflective of the diversity of our communities. Our strength is our diversity. And to that end, I challenge each and every one of you to strive to make a difference. no matter how big or small. Thank you, and Ad Astra.